Hi all, this is Dr. J at 11, streaming to you live from Long Island, New York, where the weather cooled off a little bit today. There was a little bit of showers yesterday and today, just a touch. And it's still humid, but much more bearable weather, which is good. Um, Wall Street also kind of cooled. Not that it's been hot, but it was not exactly the best of days, not exactly the worst of days, with the Dow being off a smidgen, about a third of 1%, the NASDAQ 100 off about the same, I believe, and the S&P off maybe a quarter of 1%. Interestingly enough, the S&P stopped at just about its old high of the year. So let's look at the charts of the FAANG stocks and see how they did. I don't think it's really worth looking at the Dow, the NASDAQ, and the S&P charts. They're pretty much a yawn for the day, pretty much a yawn for the week. I do think that better days are ahead for next, probably as soon as next week, for the market as a whole, for the IBB in particular. I'm very, very bullish on biotech. But the FANG stocks have been in retreat. Today, two of my favorite ones joined the retreat, Apple and Amazon. Let's take a look at how they all fared. So we're going to go to the videotapes and share screen, which takes about 3.5 seconds, count it. Well, maybe less than that, depending on how quickly I move my mouse. I think I used my 3.5 seconds up already. Okay, there we go. So now let's go to the, look at Apple first. And we're going to have to refresh all of these screens because they're based on yesterday's numbers, I believe. There's no date. So I really just refresh. I believe it's lower than that. Okay, here we go. Fresh screen with fresh numbers. 221.30 down $1.80 or nearly 1%. I do believe it was the worst performing FANG stock of the day, and it continued its retreat after hours to the 220 level. Let's take a look at the daily chart. It looks like Apple tested its lower trend line. It's what I call a zoom channel that it's been in. I like it here. I don't think it's going to make a clean break of this lower trend line, but if it does, it'll find support at the 50-day moving average, probably at around 210, 208, something like that. So there's, in my mind, very little risk here. The reward, I believe, is great as it continues its merry way up, marching towards 235 over the next few weeks. So Apple, I'm not changing my opinion one iota based on a couple of bad days. So let's take a look now at the next FANG stock that I have up here, which is Amazon. Amazon is a big favorite of mine. It's down, let's see what it's down. I have to refresh. My computer is a little bit slow, probably because I have a lot of windows open. So bear with me a second, and we'll take a look at Amazon. Down 6 to 1952. After hours up a smidgen. Let's take a look. Chart is loading. Chart is still loading. Chart is just about loaded. Well, almost there. There we go. Amazon, like Apple, is in an even longer Zoom channel. And today it made it didn't quite make a touch of the middle part of that channel. But this is a good buying opportunity anywhere around here. So probably at, let's see, if it does touch the channel, it would be at about 1934. I like Amazon at 1934 if it gets there on Monday. I don't think it will. 19 or maybe even a little bit, well, even up here, I like it. Let's say at 1945 during the week, if it drops that low. I think it's going to bounce back to the top of its channel at about 2053. So if you want to play it for a swing trade, I think there's some value there. Of course, you could always put in a moving stop at the lower end of the trend, lower end of the channel along this trend line. So I like these kind of plays because you can move your stop up and basically let that take you out of the trade. Hopefully it's far enough along that you will have made money. And if it doesn't take you out of the trade, you're making lots of money. All right, so that's one way to play it. Let's take a look at, so no opinion changed on Amazon, still very bullish. Facebook, I believe was up fractionally today. Eked out a small gain of about 50 cents, which is good. At least maybe the color of that candle is not red for a change. We have a green candle. That's nice to see. I don't really want Facebook to collapse, even though I think it will. So, I mean, I have no betting interest on Facebook. Like I said, these 3 black crows or even 4 black crows, very ominous sign. It's broken through its upper trend line and it's broken through its lower channel line, its lower trend line. So I don't like Facebook, even though it managed to turn green today and was eked out a very small percentage gain of 0.31%. I still don't like Facebook. Not a buy, probably a sell in my mind. Of course, do your own due diligence. If you're long Facebook, I don't know what I would do. I probably would have sold it already. But at this point, it's your call. It's always your call. Never my call what to do with your money. Google, I think I have the Class C Google. It's not much different than the Google with the L at the end. So let's take a look at the graph of Google. I think we need to refresh this as well. I believe we were off another $6 today, something along those lines. I think my opinion of Google is still pretty neutral. It could go either way, depending on the market. I think it will follow the market lower if the market continues, if the NASDAQ continues to trend lower. I don't think it's going to buck the market. I love Google long term. So if it does drop to lower levels, it could theoretically drop if it totally gives back its gains since April. It could drop to the 1010 level. At that point, I would definitely be a buyer of Facebook. I think Facebook is unique. It's the number one company in social media by far. I think its Instagram purchase was phenomenal. I mean, it's a Facebook world. What can I tell you? It's not a Twitter world. It's only for the United States, where the president loves to tweet. But in general, it's a Facebook world. So there you have it. You know, buy Facebook on a big enough dip. Right now, I think it's probably a sell. Um, I'm talking about Alphabet rather. Alphabet is neutral. Facebook is a sell. I'm going from one to another a little too quick today. Jerry, Dr. J, wake up. Okay, Alphabet. There we have it for Alphabet. It has a beautiful upper trend line. It's testing that upper trend line now. And if it makes a clean break of it, it's definitely a sell. It also has 5 red candles in a row, which is not good. It's been on a tremendous losing streak. I don't consider today's action to have turned it around. It's down 0.5%, even though we have a green candle on the day. So at best, I'm neutral on Alphabet. I think it's a buying opportunity as it drops. I believe it will continue to drop, and I would be a buyer probably at each of these pivot points, these lows, these relative lows. 1164. No, this low is 10. Come on, this low is 1093. 1093 is 70 points off. So from 1093, I might start buying and buy some more if it hits 1010. So that would be my strategy on Alphabet. I'd be a buyer. If I owned it, I might be a seller. So I'd be a buyer on dips, not a buyer right here. Hope I straightened that out. Okay, so what are we up to? Netflix. Netflix, I don't love. I believe if we refresh that, it had another little up day, up about $2, I believe, which is still well inside that big candle, that big red candle from 2 days ago. It's an engulfing of the tiny little red body the day before, which I believe means nothing. I'm not big on engulfing candles in general, especially when they engulf basically what looks like a doji. So Netflix had a green upward day today, gaining $2, giving back a little after hours. I wouldn't be a buyer here. I would still probably be a seller, figuring that if I wanted to trade, I might sell short, looking for 310 and putting in a stop maybe at this high of 377, something like that. So I would do a swing trade here if I were to play it, looking for an entry point towards the bottom of this red candle. No, towards the middle of, let's say it around the middle of this green candle. So let's say where to close at again? Close at 348. I'd look to sell it right around here. So I'd sell short right around here. I look to take profits at 310 and put in a stop loss at 377. If I were to make that trade, I probably won't, because it doesn't look interesting enough to me to do it. It has this tremendous stepwise down pattern right now. So I wouldn't be surprised if it takes another step down, busting through this old low on this trend line, and probably keep on going a while. So I think it's a better short than it is a long right now. So no change on my feelings about Netflix. So with respect to the FAANG, I'd be a buyer on dips of Apple and Amazon, kind of neutral on Google, not particularly fond of Netflix and Facebook right now based on their charts, both of which have kind of fallen apart, especially the Facebook chart has really fallen apart. So the FAANGs are not without risk, especially in a down market. So if the NASDAQ decides to keep descending next week, which I hope it won't, then these stocks are likely to lead the descent down, just like they led the ascent up, especially in the NASDAQ 100, where these 5 stocks constitute a good deal of that average. So that's about it. I'm going to probably come back during the weekend with a look at the weekly charts, and maybe we'll get a different perspective that way. So look for me during the weekend to talk about the FAANG stocks, and from a different perspective, looking at the weekly charts. I think we might see a different picture. It's a somewhat different picture, not altogether, but a somewhat different picture. This has been Dr. J, reminding you to please subscribe to the channel. Please share this link with your friends and enemies, anybody you like. Feel free to share it. Feel free to write comments. I will try to answer you. You can reach me on Twitter at JerChess. You can reach me on StockTwits at JerChess. You can reach me by leaving a comment right here. So I'm very reachable. I try to answer all questions. And do your own due diligence, of course. And I will see you over the weekend. I'm going to try to do another video on the FAANG from a different perspective. Adios, amigos. Ciao.